Right now, you're probably spending your evening optimizing your LinkedIn profile. You're attending industry mixers, handing out business cards, and sending desperate cold messages to executives, hoping that a casual handshake will somehow translate into professional security. You believe your network is your net worth. You're operating under a catastrophic industrial era illusion. Most people are wasting their lives collecting useless LinkedIn connections and virtual handshakes that lead absolutely nowhere. Stop networking. It is a fragile, mathematically flawed facade that leaves your entire career security completely up to a chance and fleeting memory of a stranger's. The global market in 2026 has violently shifted, and the professionals who rely on who they are being systematically deleted by the professionals who can definitely prove what they build. Before I completely deconstruct the death of the traditional networking, expose the flip the script strategy that makes the global recruiters actively fight over your result, and give you the precise architectural blueprint to build a proprietary proof of work ecosystem that makes you unfireable, hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell. I post daily videos showing you exactly how to navigate the global labor market using cold, hard engineering logic. You do not want to miss these execution protocols. Your resume is a piece of paper, but a documented technical artifact is undeniable weaponized leverage. If you want true professional security, you must stop begging for referrals and grab a notebook. It is time to stop networking and start engineering an unshakable moat. Welcome back, I'm Dr. HR. To understand why my approach to the career architecture is aggressively different from the soft social advice peddled by legacy career coaches, you must understand my underlying structural logic. I hold a PhD in Human Resources, a master's from prestigious Tata Institute of Social Sciences (TISS) in Mumbai, and a bachelor's in computer engineering. I do not look at career advancement as a social game of popularity. I look at it as a computational matrix of verifiable data. Operating on the ground here in Dubai since 2010, consulting for the Tier 1 corporate entities and global sovereign wealth fund, I have monitored exactly how elite talent is actually acquired. The executives making million-dollar hiring decisions do not care who you meet at a conference. They care about what you can prove. Let us systematically deconstruct this transition through 5 distinct phases: the network trap, the resume collapse, architecting proof of work, the serendipity vehicle, and the sovereign operator. Phase 1, the networking trap, the fragile facade. We must first diagnose the exact debilitating vulnerability of the modern networker. For the last 20 years, the corporate playbook was simple. Go to the conference, buy people coffee, collect business cards, and build a massive Rolodex. The assumption was that when you needed a job, you could simply pull a lever, activate your network, and someone would hand you an opportunity as a personal favor. In the 2026 economy, this strategy is massive systematic failure. Imagine you are a general preparing for a war. Instead of building a heavily fortified bunker, stockpiling ammunition, and training elite soldiers, you spend all your time walking around the surrounding villages, shaking hands with the locals and hoping they will politely ask the enemy not to attack you when the invasion begins. You have outsourced your survival to the goodwill of the people who have absolutely no skin in your game. This is the exact mathematics of a traditional networking. It relies on a fragile chain of human memory, subjective liking, and perfect timing. When you send a message to a connection asking for a job, you are operating from a position of absolute desperation. You are creating administrative friction for the person receiving the message. You are asking them to vouch for your competence without providing them any objective data to back up their recommendation. Furthermore, networking scales terribly. You only have a finite amount of biological bandwidth to maintain relationships. You can perhaps maintain 50 genuine professional relationships, but the global labor market consists of billions of nodes. If your strategy relies on one-to-one human interaction, your market visibility is mathematically capped. You cannot build a permanent profession moat out of a casual handshakes. Phase 2, the resume collapse, the end of the trust me. If the networking is dead, the amateur pivot immediately back to the traditional resume. They spend hours crafting the perfect bullet points, they format the PDF, They inject the exact keywords the applicant tracking system ATS is looking for. This is a secondary trap. The resume is also officially dead. For the last half century, the primary currency of the job market was credential. To prove intelligence, you flashed a university degree. To prove competence, you rented the status of a corporate logo. You wrote bullet points like, led a team of 15 people to increase revenue by 30%. In an era of a hyper-abundant information and generative AI, the traditional resumes have suffered a catastrophic devaluation. Today, an applicant can use a large language model to perfectly hallucinate a resume that aligns with any job description in 4 seconds. Bullet points are easily gained. Credentials have become lagging indicators of the talent. Think of a resume as a storage unit. It is a passive, static document sitting on a hard drive. It makes a series of highly subjective, unverified claims. When a recruiter reads a bullet point, they have absolutely no mathematical certainty if the claim is entirely true, partially embellished, or completely fabricated. The market has violently moved past the trust me era. We have entered the show me era. If you're evaluating 2 candidates for a critical high-stakes role, candidate A hands you a piece of paper that promises they know how to build a complex multi-agent AI collaboration system. Candidate B hands you a link to a live, functional multi-agent system they built, complete with a recorded video breakdown of the code, the architectural logic, and the latency optimization. Candidate A is asking for a leap of faith. Candidate B is providing an undeniable mathematical reality. The hiring manager will always choose objective reality. A resume is a promise, a technical artifact is a proof. Phase 3, proof of work, the 3-layer protocol. To replace the fragile facade of a networking and the obsolete promises of the resume, the apex operators of the 2026 engineer a proprietary proof of work ecosystem. This concept of a borrowed directly from decentralized blockchain architecture. In a blockchain, proof of work is a computational process that verifies real effort by expended. Verifies the real effort was expended. You cannot fake the cryptographic hash. In the labor market, it means the exact same thing. You're no longer claiming you can solve a problem, you're demonstrating the verified evidence of the solution. But you can't simply dump a random Excel spreadsheet or a messy GitHub repository online and expect recruiters to understand it. You must architect the evidence using the 3-layer protocol. Layer 1, the project, the what. This is the raw artifact. If you are a product manager, this is functional wireframe and market research document. If you're an HR executive, this is the sanitized, anonymized blueprint of the high-speed onboarding matrix you are designed using Oracle SEM. If you're an engineer, this is a functional code base. Layer 2, the process, the how. This is where the true leverage exists. AI can generate code, but AI cannot explain the complex human logic, the organizational friction, and the strategic pivots required to deploy that code in a live corporate environment. You must document your cognitive process. You write a breakdown explaining the exact constraint you faced, why you chose specific architectural pathways over others, and how you navigated the inevitable failure during deployment. Layer 3, the outcome, the so what. Data is useless without a business case. You must attach the exact mathematical outcome to the artifact. You must. How much latency did the system eliminate? What was the precise EBITDA impact? How many labor hours were saved? When you package your work using this 3-layer protocol, you're not just throwing a final product. You're allowing the executive board to audit your brain. You're removing all hiring risk. An elite operator does not ask for a permission to solve a problem. They solve it publicly and document the extraction. Phase 4, the Serendipity Vehicle, the public ecosystem. Once you have architected your proof of work, you must fundamentally change how it interacts with the global market. Amateurs take their portfolio and hide it behind a password on a private Google Drive, only sending it out when they are desperately applying for a job. They treat their proof like a resume, a passive storage unit. Apex operators build a serendipity vehicle. You must transition your documented technical artifact into a highly visible public ecosystem. You host them on a personal domain. You publish the cognitive breakdowns as long-form essays or a technical deep dives on platforms like LinkedIn, Medium, or dedicated Substack. You record high-fidelity Loom video dissecting your operational strategies. Imagine you're standing on the shore of an ocean, trying to catch a highly specific rare fish. The networker throws a single hook into the water and hopes for a bite. The Apex operator builds a massive automated digitally connected net that spans miles across the ocean floor, capturing value 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even while they are sleeping. This is the fundamental power of a public ecosystem. It is infinitely scalable. When you publish a high-structured breakdown of how you use Lean Six Sigma methodology, eradicate supply chain latency, that document is indexed by the search engine. It sits on the web forever. When a vice president of operations in London or a venture capitalist in Dubai encounters a massive supply chain crisis, they do not ask their network for a referral. They search for the solution. They find your technical artifact. They read your cognitive breakdown. They realize you possess the exact verified capability to solve their multi-million-dollar bleeding wound. They do not ask for your resume. They reach you out directly with a high-ticketed offer. The artifact itself was an interview. In a remote-first, hyper-competitive global economy, discoverability is calculated strategy, while applying for a job is nothing more than a desperate prayer. Phase 5, the sovereign operator flipping the script. We have dismantled the illusion of networking. We have discarded the passive resume. We have built the proof of the work ecosystem. Now you must understand the ultimate power dynamic this creates. Flipping the script. When you rely on networking, you are a beggar. You are asking the market to grant you entry. You are negotiating from a position of absolute weakness. When a company finally grants you an interview, they hold all the leverage. They dictate the salary, they dictate the terms, and they dictate your worth. When you build a highly visible proof of work ecosystem, you become the sovereign operator. You never have to apply for a job again because global recruiters and the C-level executives are actively fighting over your verified result. You have completely inverted the laws, the corporate gravity. Instead of you trying to convince them that you are valuable, they must convince you to allocate your highly scarce, mathematically proven bandwidth to a specific corporate problem. Because your capabilities is a matter of a public record. The perceived risk of hiring you drops to zero. When the perceived risk drops to zero, your market valuation skyrockets. You no longer accept standard 3% cost of living increase. You demand equity, geographical autonomy, and a massive base premium. Because you know, and the market knows, exactly what you can execute. You can build a fortress if the economy collapses, if your current company goes bankrupt, or if your entire department is automated by an AI agent. You do not panic. You do not scramble to update your resume or send desperate LinkedIn messages to old colleagues. Your proof of work ecosystem is an unshakable moat. It stands completely independent of any corporate logo or job title. True career security is never granted by an employer. It is aggressively engineered through your public ledger of success. Look closely at the professionals around you who are obsessed with networking. Watch them attend endless mixers, trade business cards, and post generic inspirational quotes online in a desperate bid to be noticed. Watch them panic when the economy shifts because they have no objective evidence of their own value. They're playing a social game in a mathematical universe. The market has evolved. The executives holding the capital do not care who you know. They care about the undeniable structural evidence of what you can build. Stop networking. Stop begging for referrals. Stop hiding your competence behind bullet point on a PDF. Embrace the proof of work protocol. Document your technical artifact. Expose your cognitive process using the 3-layered protocol. Build the Serendipity Vehicle and transition from a passive applicant into a sovereign operator. Process the data, execute the strategy, and I'll see you at the top.